Tonight, reliving the riot. The opening day of the House Select Committee hearing on the January 6th breach of the U.S. Capitol. And counter-programming.
A failed committee and a failed report. A sham that no one can believe.
Republicans cry foul over the Democrat-selected committee members. Plus, mandatory vaccines and mandatory masks amid a fourth wave of COVID cases. All this and more tonight on Faith Nation.
New mask guidance from the CDC. Welcome to Faith Nation. I'm John Jessup.
And I'm Jenna Browder. They are back. Tonight, the CDC reversing its decision, now urging all people, regardless of vaccination status, to wear masks indoors as the U.S. combats surging COVID-19 numbers.
We'll have more on that new guidance and its implications for churches and schools. But first, gripping emotional testimony today on Capitol Hill as police officers recounted what they experienced on January 6th, testifying before a select investigative committee.
Worse than war. That is how one officer, an Iraq War Army vet, described the day, saying they fought for their lives to defend the Capitol and protect the lawmakers inside. Tonight, we have full team coverage.
Joining us, national security correspondent Caitlin Burke, CBN chief political analyst David Brody, national reporter with Religion News Service Jack Jenkins. But we began with CBN Capitol Hill correspondent Abigail Robertson. Abigail?
That's right, John and Jenna. Today, officers said that January 6th was unlike any protest they'd ever seen. But before testimonies even started, Day one opened with chilling new video giving more insight into what exactly the rioters were planning on the Capitol grounds that day.
They've got the gallows set outside this Capitol building. It's time to start using them.
Start making a list, put all those names down, and we start hunting them down one by one.
Four members of the Capitol Police and Metropolitan Police Departments recounted their experiences.
At the hospital, doctors told me that I had suffered a heart attack, and I was later diagnosed with a concussion, a traumatic brain injury, and post-traumatic stress disorder. The indifference shown to my colleagues is disgraceful.
The officers described protesters beating them, spraying them with chemicals, and attempting to gouge out their eyes.
I, too, was being crushed by the rioters. I could feel myself losing oxygen and recall thinking to myself, this is how I'm going to die.
Some protesters even fought officers while holding flags in support of the police or reading things like Jesus Saves. One officer claimed there were about 150 officers versus 9,000 insurrectionists.
During the Black Lives Matter protest last year, U.S. Capitol Police had all the support we needed and more. Why the different response?
While officers pleaded with lawmakers to make changes to ensure this never happens again.
Everything is different, but nothing has changed.
Down the street at the DOJ, a group of Republican lawmakers were forced to abruptly end a press conference demanding better treatment for January 6th prisoners. Congresswoman Liz Cheney, one of two Republicans on the committee, argues we must get to the bottom of everything that happened before and during the attack.
We must also know what happened every minute of that day in the White House. Every phone call, every conversation, every meeting leading up to, during, and after the attack.
Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, who polled his GOP committee appointees after Speaker Pelosi rejected two of them, argued this committee is a sham.
Speaker Pelosi will only pick on people onto the committee that will ask the questions she wants asked. That becomes a failed committee and a failed report.
Cheney claims if we don't get to the bottom of what happened and hold those responsible accountable, we risk seeing an insurrection after every future presidential election. John, Jenna.
All right, thank you, Abby. And let's bring in Jack Jenkins, national reporter for Religion News Services, and CBN News chief political analyst David Brody. A gentleman, powerful testimony today from those on the front lines. David, law enforcement still very upset and emotional about what happened that day. Do you think it was a mistake for Kevin McCarthy to pull all Republicans off the committee to offer a different perspective?
Well, I guess we're going to find out politically as it relates to 2022. I mean, there's a political play by both parties here. I mean, clearly the January 6th Select Committee, let's put all of the actions of what happened on January 6th aside for a moment. Let's talk politics. When you talk politics, this is a partisan committee. Let's be clear. This has nothing to do with bipartisanship, right? Liz Cheney on the Select Committee is not bipartisan. She is a Republican in name only. As Kevin McCarthy calls her, a Pelosi Republican. She has said that she's going to make sure Trump never sees the light of day again in the Oval Office. That is not someone that has any credibility to be on a committee. Adam Kinzinger, also a Republican in name only. So look, there's politics involved. Clearly, this is a sham politically. And then on the Republican side, to your question, we're going to find out. I think Kevin McCarthy is betting that this will look so political that it will help Republicans in 2022.
Notwithstanding David's political argument, today Democrats made it a point to reinforce the law enforcement perspective. So not so much about politics, but what law enforcement officers face. Jack, one police officer recounted hearing someone say, "Jesus is my savior, Trump is my president." D.C. officer Daniel Hodges said it was clear that, and these are his words, the terrorists perceive themselves to be Christian. You cover religion. Talk about what you've learned about the effect of the use of Christian symbols that day.
Yeah, Officer Hodges is really kind of describing something that we religion reporters have been talking about for several months now. And really anybody who was there would have noticed just the ubiquity of Christian symbols that were present during the insurrection, Christian flags. As the first wave of, insurrectionists broke past police barricades, above them waved a flag that said "Proud American Christian" over a Jesus fish emblazoned with an American flag. There were insurrectionists who led a prayer inside the Senate dais, invoking Jesus's name. And then after the fact, we've had insurrectionists who are now facing federal charges, justify their actions, posting videos saying that they did this, or at least justifying their actions by saying, to me, God and country are one and the same, and they wanted to protect that. All of this often appeals to what is often described as Christian nationalism, which is less of a theology, more of an identity, a marriage of the American flag and Christianity as a way of perceiving the way America should be, and that seemed to be on full display during the insurrection.
Jack, Democrats are saying this is not political, that this really is about making sure that we preserve a peaceful transfer of power. What do you think about that?
I mean, I think anything that happens with politicians involved is going to be political to some extent, right, to Brody's point. And certainly there's politics at play here. But there is, when we're talking about the insurrection, I think the Democrats' argument is that there is ultimately a national security issue at play, right? If you have people threatening the lives of members of Congress, that is ultimately a question about whether or not their security is there. I mean, people have talked about how Vice President Mike Pence was also in the Capitol that day. Near him was an official who had what's quote unquote called the nuclear football. Those are the nuclear codes. And so I think the Democrats are arguing that really what's they're trying to do here is protect democracy, writ large, and also the security of members of Congress.
All right, gentlemen, we have to leave it there. Jack Jenkins, David Brody, thank you both so much.
Thanks, guys. Well, the Justice Department has given the green light, allowing former Trump administration officials to give unrestricted testimony to various committees investigating the January attack on the Capitol.
National Security Correspondent Caitlin Burke is following this angle for us. Caitlin, where does the DOJ investigation stand?
Well, first of all, this case is considered unprecedented in scale. One court filing calling the January 6th attack the most complex investigation ever prosecuted by the Department of Justice. As of this month, over 535 defendants have been arrested in nearly all 50 states, and more than 20 have pleaded guilty.
Caitlin, can you talk about the range of charges defendants are facing?
Right. So as we heard from today's testimony, hundreds of law enforcement officers were assaulted. So there's more than 165 defendants being charged with assaulting, resisting, or impeding officers. And more than 50 people have been charged with using a deadly or dangerous weapon or causing serious injury to an officer. Now, the most common charge is entering or remaining in a restricted federal building or on federal grounds. And then we've also seen charges for conspiracy and obstruction of official proceedings.
Caitlin, has everyone who participated in that attack been arrested at this point?
No, the FBI is actually still trying to identify more than 300 people believed to be connected to the attack, including 200 people who assaulted police officers. They've released videos of those suspects and are encouraging the public to help identify them.
All right, Caitlin Burke, thank you very much.
Thanks, Caitlin. Now to our other top story. Mask mandates are back. Late this afternoon, the CDC reversing its decision, allowing fully vaccinated people to go most places without a mask. Instead, now calling on all Americans to mask up indoors due to the Delta variant.
Health officials are sounding the alarm, though, that it may be too late. The CBN News correspondent Brody Carter joins us with more on the growing number of mandates and what this can mean for you. Brody.
Well, John, Jenna, today the CDC announcing that everyone vaccinated or not consider wearing a mask indoors in areas of high or substantial COVID-19 transmission. Now, nearly 2/3 of all U.S. counties fall within those guidelines. K through 12 could be impacted the most, recommending universal masking for all students and teachers, this regardless of vaccination status.
We don't exactly know how high that peak will become, but we're clearly at another wave.
It's round 2 for mask mandates in areas with high COVID transmission rates. The CDC going back on its word from mid-May, saying fully vaccinated people didn't need to wear masks inside or outside.
A lot of what is done, wearing a mask, asking people to get vaccinated, is not just about the individual, but it's about protecting those loved ones in their household, at work.
Dr. Parham Jabaric, Director of Public Health in Virginia, says the revival of the mask mandate is right on cue with the Delta variant spreading and infection rates skyrocketing. In Tokyo, home of the Summer Olympics, the country setting a new daily record for COVID-19 cases, reporting a 2,848 infection rate. The increase exactly what the Olympic staff were fearful of and why the games were delayed in the first place.
It's quite clear the Delta variant has changed the game. This is about keeping people safe.
Here in the U.S., government leaders doing everything they can to keep a third wave from happening.
Simply show proof of vaccination or get tested every single week. And I said last week this was only the beginning and we would be climbing up the ladder, more mandates to come.
Vaccine mandates now coming to fruition. New York Mayor Bill de Blasio calling on all city and government employees, including public school teachers, to get vaccinated by mid-September or get tested weekly. The city warning that workers who don't comply won't get paid. And the same goes in California, required vaccines or weekly testing for state employees and roughly 2 million healthcare workers. And those mandates now making their first federal appearance.
Veteran Affairs is going to, in fact, require that all docs working in facilities are going to have to be vaccinated.
And Dr. Parham says mandates will continue to come as the ever-fluid COVID pandemic rages on.
When health officials are considering what the CDC is recommending, they really need to go back and look at their own state data and make it applicable to them.
The CDC's push to fully vaccinated now in full force, roughly 50% of Americans having received both doses. The CDC calling on community leaders to continue advocating for the jab in our nation's high transmission areas. The fight against COVID-19 continues. Brody Carter, CBN News.
All right, great reporting. Thank you, Brody. Coming up, a shocking turn of events at the Olympics, the medal count, and where things stand for the U.S. after this.
Hey, if you're tired and exhausted all day, you can't think clearly, and you really just need a cup or even a pot of coffee to get through your day, then join me, Dr. Josh Axe, for this new series where I'm going to teach you how to transform your diet and use essential oils and supplements to get a better night's sleep.
Wake up to your best life. Call 1-800-700-7000 to get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
It's about the competition.
I kind of put that pressure on myself, and I think people had expectations.
It's about overcoming.
We use this phrase all the time, keep chopping, keep practicing hard.
It's about going the distance.
I think as a father, it's my job, to lead, just be the best husband and father I can be.
Watch Going the Distance with Sean Brown Saturday night at 7:30 on the CBN News Channel.
Orphans Promise is committed to loving and serving at-risk children, to helping keep families together, and to creating opportunities for strong and sustainable communities around the world. We're working in over 60 countries around the world, and with your help, we can do even more. There's an old African proverb I love that says, if you want to run fast, run alone. But if you want to run far, run together. At Orphans Promise, we want to run far so we can touch the lives of as many orphaned and vulnerable children as possible. But we don't want to go alone. We're out to change the world, one child, one family, one community at a time. Will you join us?
Tonight, a shocker for the U.S. women's gymnastics team. Superstar gymnast Simone Biles is out of the team finals. Now Team USA is the winner of the silver medal, falling second to the Russians. After USA Gymnastics said in a statement that Biles withdrew due to a medical issue, the gymnast said it was the emotional toll of the Olympic Games and not a physical injury that led her to withdraw, adding in an interview that being head star isn't an easy feat. The U.S. now leads in the overall medal count with 25 gold, silver, and bronze medals combined. And in the race for gold, China and the U.S. are tied at 9 per country. Japan leads with 10 gold medals.
Well, joining us now is Kevin Drake, Executive Director of Upward Sports. Kevin, thanks for coming on today. Let's just start right there. How shocked were you with Simone Biles' early exit, and what does this mean for the U.S. team in the Olympics?
Yeah, well, it was a little shocking to see her exit out. However, if you look at statistics, mental illness is a real challenge across our nation, and the pandemic certainly led to some of that. And so we wish her well, obviously, as she competes in future events. But she's been a great asset to the Olympic team, and it's a joy to watch her and continue to root for her.
Your organization, Upward Sports, is focused on sports ministry and how churches can use it to reach out to their community. How do the Olympics really highlight the importance of that?
Yeah, well, you know, it's interesting to be able to watch the Olympics, and you see all of these countries coming together and all the barriers being broken down, all the differences through the power of sports to unite people. And, you know, as a Christian organization that partners with churches all across the nation, we love seeing the power of sports to help local churches to re-engage their congregations and engage their communities to spread the gospel. That's why Upward Sports exists, to help churches to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ. So, Kevin, along those lines, tell us about your sports programming and how you're trying to help churches reach out to their own communities, inspire kids to discover Jesus through their passion for sports. Yeah, we're seeing a great awakening since the pandemic, where churches are realizing, as they're figuring out how, pastors are sitting around saying, how do I engage my community? How do I re-engage my congregation to get them active again? And so we're seeing churches across the nation come to Upward and joining us as partners to be able to run sports leagues, whether it's at their campus or some area where they have rented, to be able to spread the gospel through sports. And so it's an exciting time as our country re-engages in what is becoming more of a sort of a post-pandemic era.
Kevin, is there a sport or an event or maybe an athlete who you're particularly interested in this Olympics? Yeah, well, obviously swimming is fun for me. I sort of miss Michael Phelps, but I love watching the swimming events, and Katie Ledecky and some of those athletes compete. And so we love sports here at Upward, and more than that, we love sharing the gospel. And so it's fun to watch the Olympics, and it's also exciting to see the local church use sports to leverage that power to witness to others, to be an example for Christ. Well, we certainly love it. Kevin Drake with Upward Sports, thank you so much for making time for us. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Up next, one of our own CBN News photojournalists recounts being on the Capitol on January 6th. What he says made him stop and pray amid the chaos.
Daddy?
Yeah, buddy.
How many nickels are in a dollar? there are 20 nickels in a dollar.
How do birds fly? Does milk really make my bones stronger?
Yeah.
Daddy, when we die, will we go to heaven?
Do you have the answer to life's biggest question? Call the 700 Club. We'll help you find answers to the important questions life brings your way.
Watch breaking news, in-depth exclusive stories and programs from health to entertainment you won't find anywhere else. The CBN News Channel, a perspective you can trust. Enjoy credible news reporting from around the world. Discover inspiring programs and stories of hope, all in one place from a Christian perspective. The CBN News Channel, a perspective you can trust. To watch the CBN News Channel, download the app or visit cbnnewschannel.com.
Hello, I'm Dr. David Perlmutter, board-certified neurologist and #1 New York Times bestselling author. Wouldn't it be great to boost your energy, eliminate brain fog, and even reverse brain disease? Well, you can, and I'm going to show you how, along with some of the world's most well-respected brain experts in this DVD, Protect Your Brain.
Get Protect Your Brain, a free DVD only from the Christian Broadcasting Network, featuring experts on the cutting edge of neuroscience and brain health.
No matter how many times you've failed in the past, you really can do this.
In Protect Your Brain, you'll discover simple strategies to keep your brain young and healthy. Improve your memory. Discover the gut-brain connection. In Protect Your Brain, get your free copy at cbn.com or call 1-800-700-7000.
If you want to improve the quality of your life, get the DVD Protect Your Brain and get it today.
Welcome back. On January 6th, many people showed up at the United States Capitol for just another day of work, including one of our own.
That's right. CBN News photojournalist Mario Gonzalez, who's often covering the Hill with Abigail Robertson, was there early that morning for a pre-scheduled interview with a member of Congress. After the events of that day, I asked Mario to walk me through what he saw. You were up on Capitol Hill way early Wednesday morning. Can you describe the scene?
Because we knew that it was going to be a big day, I had to get there early. So I got there at about 4:45 in the morning, just hoping and praying that there was a spot available. Some of the other cameramen on the location were kind of giggling and laughing at me as I walked up with all my gear. Like, you're number 5, we're having to turn away.
He thought about setting up at an outdoor location for media.
And I was like, no, it's going to be too cold.
But instead took a gamble.
I think I'm going to ask for forgiveness and park right here. And so that's what I did.
A decision with divine implications for his protection and spiritual intervention. Mario eventually made his way to the Capitol building.
You could easily start to feel the atmosphere kind of change, that, okay, this can potentially become a major news story. So the cameraman in me, the journalist in me was like, okay, let me try to figure out a way how to get out there to go see what's going on. So that's when I started to make my moves. So I get up the escalators, and my first view is a Capitol police officer sitting down on a chair and medical staff attending to him. And they're cleaning out his eyes. I immediately changed. I went from journalist to prayer warrior. And I got up the escalator and I saw maybe around six Capitol police officers being attended to by medical staff. And my heart just sunk. And so I'm there, I'm looking at these police officers, and I just started to pray.
A response that captures Mario's heart and mentality. He saw other officers hurt and started to pray for them, but was confronted.
Police officer ran up towards me, no filming, no photos. And I'm not. He's like, I said, I'm here to pray. And he was like, what? I was like, I'm here to pray. I want to pray. Thank you.
You and your coworker, Abigail Robertson, who covered Capitol Hill, you both see this as a mission, not just an assignment, but a mission.
We do. This is an opportunity that not very many photographers get, and that this ministry has trusted me with the responsibility to capture what takes place at this location is a great honor.
Did you allow your mind to wander and think the worst?
No.
Why is that?
Well, my time living in Israel. I think prepared me for moments like this, where you learn to keep your head on a swivel and you learn to be prayed up. I think that God's given me the grace to walk this out, to be in a place like this during a time like this, to be able to handle myself professionally and that's the way I should.
Great to work with people like Mario who have a big heart. We spoke earlier today. He says where we are more than 6 months later is heartbreaking, adding that his prayer is for people to overcome their differences, treat each other how they want to be treated, and see each other as Christ sees us.
Great interview, John. We'll still ahead. A miraculous rescue of a mother and child. You're watching CBN's Faith Nation.
I am Region's first ROTC graduate student.
I'm Ephraim Graham, and this is Studio 5. Cruise with me as I discover the good things happening in the world of music, sports, television, and movies.
The fact that Ryan Coogler was going to be directing the film, I knew that something special was going to happen.
We'll chat with artists at the forefront of entertainment and explore the connection between popular culture and faith.
I asked my pastor, I said, well, does that mean I'm supposed to be a preacher? He says, well, no, you already have a pulpit.
Wednesday night at 8:30 on the CBN News Channel.
How'd you like to get a redo on your health, on your body, on your arteries, so you could have the energy you had 20 years ago? The great news is you can. I'm Dr. Mike Roizen, chair of the Wellness Institute at the Cleveland Clinic. I've written 4 New York Times bestsellers. But even better than having to read all that, you can listen to this DVD and watch it. Protect your heart? Yes, you can. Here's how.
Go to cbn.com or call 1-800-700-7000 for your free copy of Protect Your Heart. Let the medical experts show you their new discoveries on how to avoid heart disease and even reverse it. Easy steps to uncover the hidden dangers in your medicine cabinet, reduce stress, and get a complete do-over for your health. Call 1-800-700-7000. That's 1-800-700-7000. Or go to cbn.com to claim your free copy of Protect Your Heart.
Finally tonight, an amazing rescue after a drunk driver struck a woman and her baby before smashing into a New York barbershop.
2 Yonkers police officers teamed up with the bystanders to lift the car off of the 8-month-old baby who was trapped underneath.
I got it. I got the baby. I got the baby. Hold up. Okay, yes. Yes.
He got the baby. The heroic team found the mother and the daughter in the wreckage and worked to free them. Both the mother and daughter escaped with fractures and burns, but are expected to survive their injuries.
Oh my goodness, just amazing to see how they both were able to survive that.
Yeah, I'm so glad they're okay, and that it's a happy ending to that story.
Well, thanks for watching Faith Nation.
Have a great night.